When Kena, Bridge of Spirits first launched, it was kind of a surprise hit. It looked like a Pixar movie brought to life, but it played like a modern action-adventure game inspired by classic Zelda and PS2-era platformers. It had cute characters, beautiful environments, emotional storytelling, and surprisingly challenging combat. A lot of people expected it to be a simple, cozy indie game, but it actually had some pretty intense boss fights and deep mechanics. What made Kena special was its tone. It balanced charm and darkness in a way that felt unique. The world was full of spirits, loss, healing, and emotional themes, wrapped in a gorgeous fantasy setting. And the rot creatures were instantly iconic, becoming one of the most memorable mascot-style companions in recent years. For a first major project from Ember Lab, it was insanely polished and ambitious, so when Sony revealed a full sequel, it immediately caught my attention. Kena Scars of Kosmora looks like a major step up in every way. From the footage shown, Kena herself looks older and more experienced, which suggests a time jump and a more mature story. The environments look darker, more mystical, and more detailed, and the tone feels like it's leaning into deeper fantasy and spiritual themes. Combat looks faster and more cinematic, with expanded magic abilities, more fluid melee combos, and hopefully we will see new ways to use the rot in both puzzles and battles. The original game already had surprisingly deep combat, so seeing this expanded into something more action RPG-like is really exciting. This doesn't feel like a small sequel. This feels like Ember Lab going full AAA. One of the most exciting things is the new setting, Kosmora. Bridge of Spirits had a beautiful but fairly contained world. Scars of Kosmora feels like it's expanding the universe in a big way. This could mean more lore, more interconnected regions, deeper side quests, and a richer mythology. If Ember Lab builds out the world properly, Kena could become a long-running fantasy franchise with its own identity, separate from Sony's usual gritty realism. Visually, Kena might be one of the best-looking stylized games ever made. The sequel looks even better, with improved lighting, more detailed character models, bigger environments, and more cinematic presentation. It genuinely looks like a playable animated film. In a market full of ultra-realistic, gritty games, Kena's art style makes it stand out instantly. It's the kind of game you can recognize in a single screenshot. Here's the bigger picture. Sony is known for massive cinematic blockbusters like God of War, The Last of Us, Horizon, and Spider-Man. Those games are incredible, but they're also very similar in tone and presentation. Kena represents something different. It's a character-driven fantasy adventure with indie charm and AAA polish. It's colorful, emotional, and imaginative. It feels like a modern evolution of the PS2-era adventure games a lot of us grew up with. This is the kind of IP that can become a cult classic and grow into a major franchise if Sony supports it. If Scars of Kosmora is successful, Kena could easily become a trilogy or even a long-running series. It's also the kind of IP that could translate perfectly into animation or film. Ember Lab literally started as an animation studio, so the crossover potential is huge. Sony has been pushing its IP into movies and TV, and Kena feels tailor-made for that.